See, you can see the running of flowchart here. So the values are incrementing here, and the final output is displaying here. So it terminates, it is printing up to from 1 to 11. So it means that first you have to print I and then increment. So I have incremented and printing, so one is missing. So just move it here. So now you can run it. Yeah, I'm getting the desired output now. Yes, see here, I have get 1 to 10. So this is the way you have to use the loop here. So the next thing I will show you the decision making statements, how to create a flowchart. Already I have discussed in slide for a number is negative or positive or 0. So the same thing I will draw. So for this one sequence. So first I will save it. So next thing I will be checking whether the number is negative, positive or 0. So first I have to get the number from the user. So for that I'm prompting one input window. So I'm editing. So enter a number. So I will get this number in the variable n. So the second thing I have to check this. So for this, I am placing the selection statement. So first I will check whether the number is positive or not. So if n is greater than 0, it will be coming here, right? So here I have to print the number is positive. For that I'm placing one output window. Here in print positive number. So it means it will has to check another two cases, that is the number is negative and 0. For that I'm again using one selection statement here. So here if the number is n is lesser than 0 means negative. So here it is condition is true, it has to print as negative. So for that I'm placing one output and printing as negative number. If it is false, then the number will be a 0. So again, I'm placing one output here. So the number is 0. So we will check by running it. So in first case, I will enter the positive number. So that is I'm entering as 7. So it will go here and you will be getting output as positive number. So again, I'm running it. I will give it as 0. So it has to go here. So the number is 0. Output is achieved. So in next case, we will check with the negative number. So I'm entering -9. So this is achieved. Yeah. So in this way, you can run your flowchart by prompting an input and getting an output. So this tool will be very impressive tool. So the next thing we will be seeing dealing with functions. In functions, you will be dividing your flowchart into two modules, right? So one is the main module and another one will be your function module. So first we will save this. So file, again new. So for that, I have to use one function call statement. So in this function call, you will be asking you to edit. So for addition of two numbers, I'm creating a function. So for that, I'm naming my function name as addition. Okay, it will be creating a new tab called addition here. So see here, you will be creating a new tab. So in this addition, you will be they will be asking you to create a new flowchart here. Okay. Here in start, as usual, you will be creating a normal flowchart. So that is, I'm getting two numbers. So I have to get two numbers and calculate it and output it. So here in edit, enter first number, that is A, and again I have to edit, enter second number, that is B, and I'm calculating here as C as A plus B, and I'm printing here as output plus C. So if I want to run this main function only, so here I'm running it. So it will, if it is addition, it will be going to a submodule. So it will be prompting from here only. So I have to enter the first number. I'm entering it as 2, and it again it will be prompting for a second number. I'm entering it as 4, and it will be calculating and storing it, and it will be returning to main function, and the flowchart will be getting in. So here I got the output as 6. I have still so far I have explained the 4 modules. That is, first one is simple sequence statement, second one is looping, and third one is if else, that is decision making, and fourth one is submodule creation, that is addition. Any doubts so far? Any doubts? If any doubt in this Raptor tool, you can ask it in chat box, or else I will move to pseudocode section. Any doubt in this? So I will be placing the Raptor tool download link in the chat box. You can download it and install it. So this tool will be very useful for giving input and running your flowchart and getting output. You can execute very complex programs in this also. You can copy this flowchart also, or flowchart also, and paste it in your some other document making also. You can cut and copy the flowchart from here. Any doubts you can ask through chat box in this laptop tool, or else I will move to next session pseudocode. Okay, let me move to the next session. Is this PPT is visible to all? You can unmute and say yes. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So next thing is pseudocode. So as in introduction part, I have said that pseudocode will resemble like a coding. So it means that it is very a compact and informal language, very compact and informal high-level description of an algorithm. If it is an algorithm, you have to represent it in the English format. It means that you have to include like verbs, nouns. It means that it is a complete English sentence is an algorithm. But pseudocode is not. Pseudo means false, Pseudocode means programming. It means the false form of a programming. So that uses a structural convention of a programming language. For every program language, you will be having a syntax kind of. So same thing in pseudocode also there are set of rules for defining a pseudocode for your problem. It is very useful for a programmer to easily get code in a programming. So it will helps the programmers to focus on a logic of an algorithm. If a programmer has an algorithm, so then and there they will make a pseudocode first. After that only they will be making a complete programming code for their prescribed for problem. So it means that it gives you the what are the syntax to be followed in your program. A pseudocode is a complete structure. It will describe your entire logic used in an algorithm. It is also the representation of an algorithm. So this will be having a standard syntax formats for writing a programming code. What are the properties of pseudocode? So generally a pseudocode, it is very short. If you see the pseudocode, it will resemble like a program, but it is not an exact program. So that's why it is a short and it is a readable format and it is formally styled in English languages. A pseudocode is also written using English languages, but it looks like a programming code. It will explain a clear structure of an algorithms in a very precise manner. In pseudocode, you should not include any variable declaration. For example, in C or C++, you will be having a variable declarations with a data type as int, float, like that. So those variable declarations or a subpart of a program will be getting omitted while writing your pseudocode. So it is very easy for the programmer or a non-programmer. If any person is a non-programmer, by seeing the pseudocode can easily understand and code in a particular coding environment. So as the pseudocode is providing a precise structure of your problem. But it is not an exact programming language. So keep it in your mind. It is not an exact programming language. It is a false code, that is false structure of your programming language. It gives you the overall sketch of your program. While starting your actual coding, you must be writing your pseudocode, what you're going to define in your program. This pseudocode will not be compiled or it is not able to run in a compilation environment. It is just a code format, that's all. So that's why it is not a machine readable one. While the programming is a machine readable, pseudocode is not a machine readable one. This code cannot be compiled or executed by any other compilers or interpreters. So these modules you will be dealing with Python. So Python interpreter will not execute the pseudocode. It only will executing the Python codes. There is no standard syntax for writing your pseudocode. There are only hints or keywords to be used in writing a pseudocode. So, as like programming language, you will not be having a standard syntax. Why we can go for a pseudocode? It is very simple in constructing, so that's why we are going for a pseudocode before running your programming languages. And a language agnostic. Language agnostic means it is not very strict to rules. Excuse me, 1 minute. It is not very language strict to rules, and it is very easily transition to an actual code. If you want to write a Python code by having a simple pseudocode in your hand means it can be easily converted into a Python code. What are the rules for writing a pseudocode? So pseudocode will be having only one line per statement. It will not be having a multiple statements. That one line statement also should be short and precise. So in pseudocode, you have to capitalize the initial word in a sentence. For example, you are using start the program means you have to capitalize the word start in your sentence. So the next thing is like indenting. Indenting means if you are running your Python code, so this Python will be supporting indentation. It is a beautiful in your Python code. So you need not to indent by yourself. The Python interpreter by itself will be indenting the next statements in your program. So same way while writing your pseudocode, you have to indent the every statements if necessary. So you have to end the multi-line structures. If you are having a multiple lines in your program, so you have to use end for every pseudocode for ending your statements. So end describes that it means that the pseudocode has got an end. So you have to keep every statement in a pseudocode of language independent. If you are going for a Python, so follow the Python structure for writing your pseudocode. If you are going for a C or else Java or else C++ programming, according to that code, you write your pseudocodes. So this is an example for calculating an area of a rectangle. So I have capitalized, see here, I have capitalized each and every word in the each sentence. So begin means, it means that a pseudocode is got started, and end means the pseudocode got an end. So in between, for getting an input from the user, you can use get. For computing the formula, you can use compute or calculate. Two words also can use. So area equal to length into breadth, like that. You can represent these variable as L or B, like that also. And area is equal to A. You can use your own variable for defining in your problems. And display will use to display the output. You can use instead print also. Print output. Instead get, you can use input also. You can use input also. Input length breadth, calculate or compute area is equal to length and breadth. And display, for instead display you can use print or output. End depicts that your pseudocode has gotten in. This is a simple example. So what are the main constructs of the pseudocode means? If you are assigning any variables with the values, you have to use like this. That is A equal to 10, B equal to 20. So instead here, if you are giving any values, length equal to 10 means you can give like this. And breadth equal to 5 get, L equal to 10, comma B equal to 5, like that also you can get it. And you can calculate the area as length into breadth, like that. And you will be displaying this area. So for conditional if-else statement also, you can write a pseudocode. So for looping, there are two types of looping. You will be discussing in detail in tomorrow's session. That is, what are the if-else statements and what are for and what is while, what are the syntaxes of for, while, and if-else, elif in Python. You will be detailedly discussing tomorrow. So for these statements also, you can write a pseudocode. I will be showing in next slide how to write a pseudocode for this conditional statements and looping statements. So what are the use? What are the keywords you are going to use in your pseudocode? So this double slash I have represented now. So this will be using if any statements that you're going to command. It means that any description of your program or any description of your loop, description of your problem, any problems you will be writing in a pseudocode by using double slashes. Means that statement you should not include in a compilation program. So those statements will not be compiled in your program. So those statements are known as common statements. So begin is a keyword for starting your pseudocode and end is a keyword for last statement in your pseudocode. That means that your pseudocode got an end. So the third thing is input. While getting an input, you can use three types of keywords, either input or get or read. So these are the three variables for used for getting an input from the user. So the next one is compute or calculate. You can use here. So instead compute, I can also use calculate. It means that you are calculating something by getting an input from the user. So it means that process blocks are given under the compute or calculate section. Suppose if you are adding, subtracting, or incrementing means I equal to I plus plus, like that, incrementing, decrementing. You can also use that keywords also here, like add, subtract, initialize, increment, or decrement, or every word should be in a capital format. So the output will be displayed using these three keywords: output, print, or display. Here, instead of display, you can use print or output. So if you are using a decision making statements, you have to use if, else, end if. End if means if has got an end, before this end, you have to use this end if. If you are using the while, that is iteration statements, while or for looping, you have to use while starting your looping, and before this end, the last end statement, you have to use end while or end for, like that. So how to write in pseudocode? So use a simple language with this necessary keywords while writing your pseudocode, and you have to be a consistent manner while writing a pseudocode. What is a consistent manner means? You have to write a step-by-step instruction that you're going to code in your program. So like that, you have to represent in a pseudocode in a step-by-step manner. So in algorithm, we will be writing as step 1, start the program. Step 2, calculate so and so. Step 3, so and so. And ending step last. Let us start a program, like that. So same thing in pseudocode. Follow the rules of the pseudocode and write a pseudocode. Focus on logic. Focus on logic means don't follow the syntax you're going to represent in your program. Just follow the logic. Logic means if addition, a program is for addition, a program is for subtraction, a program is for multiplication. Let's just focus on the logic. What logic has used to write a program. So just focus on it alone. So you should not follow the syntax as it is in a program. So these are the pseudocode examples. So first thing, for if else statement, how to write a pseudocode means. So here, this is an example for comparison of two numbers. So I have to print which is a greater number by getting the two numbers. So you have to use the keyword begin for starting your pseudocode. Second thing, I am going to compare only two numbers. So for that, I'm reading these two numbers, number one in A and number two in B, from the user. That is read A comma B. Suppose if you are writing an algorithm for the same thing, you have to write step one, start the program. Step two, read the input A comma B from the user. You have to write it in a well-defined English manner. That is an algorithm. So the same thing is not necessary in a pseudocode. You just represent what you are going to do in a simple keyword form. So that's why I have mentioned as read A comma B. So then I have to check one condition, right? So if A is greater than B, A will be greater, or else B will be greater. So for that, I'm so this display should be indented. It means that it should be tabbed up. If A is greater than B, you use the keyword then for every if. Then display or print or output in a double quotes. is greater. Else display double quotes B is greater. You have to, I have already said, if you are using an if while or a for, you have to end this is. So that's why I have given ender, and after that you have to end the whole main program. In this case, you have to end the whole main program. And second one is for loop. Here in for loop, you have to give the conditions initialization and incrementation. There are two parts in the for loop. This for loop structure will be discussed in tomorrow's session. So you will be, this is a syntax of the pseudocode. It means the rules of defining the pseudocode for loop structure. So here you have to use the do keyword and what are the statements you are going to include inside the for, and you have to give end for. So this is a structure. It means that this is a structure for printing the numbers, that is sequence of natural numbers using the for loop. So I first statement will be always begin, and you have to get the how many natural numbers you are going to print. So that's why here they have got the input from the user. What is the end of your natural number? Suppose it is 10 means this loop will be running up to 10. So if it is becoming 11, this for loop will be getting end. So initializing I equal to 1 if I is lesser than or equal to. So do means I will be printing this I. Again incrementing. Again it will be going to for. Again this will be going to for until the condition fails. This for will be executing further. And the second thing is while. So while also same as a for loop, if you are giving any condition under the while, you have to give the condition inside the bracket, and you have to use do. For do means it is instructing that follow these statements inside the while, and if the condition fails, this will be going to end while. So the as the first statement as begin and getting the input from the user, you are initializing. Initializing, you can use assign also instead initialize, you can use assign also. And after that, I'm getting while if I is less than or equal to n, print I, and after incrementing and end while, and I have to end the whole program, that is whole pseudocode, after compiling these steps inside the while. So I there is an end. So for every pseudocode, there will be a begin statement or an end statement. If your program contains a function, that is, if it is a function means whether an algorithm or a flowchart or the code, you have to divide your problem into submodules. That is, function should be represented in a separate pseudocode and main program should be represented in a separate pseudocode. So first I have to write a main program, that is beginning. You have to get the two numbers and you have to get pass these two numbers as a parameters inside the function. This will be calling here. In the statement will be calling here, and in function these two parameters will be passed and sum will be calculated. If when there any return statement is present, it again returning to the main function for printing the output. So here they have given the statement as return sum. It means that it will return to the main function and the output will be printed. So for every function you are using, you have to use the end function. So if you are using a function means you have to use the keyword function and you have to give what will be your function name and what are the parameters you are getting inside your function. So as I already said, every pseudocode must be having a end statement for its main program. So that's why here they have given as a end. So what are the advantages of a pseudocode means? It is very independent of any language. It will be used by the most of the world, most of the programmers as compared to the algorithms or flowchart. Pseudocode is very easy for translating the pseudocode into a programming language, and it also can be easily modified. But a flowchart cannot be modified once you have drawn. It cannot be modified as a hard copy part. But in pseudocode, you can easily modify it according to your what solution you are providing using a programming language. You can easily modify it. So while converting a pseudocode into a programming language, it is very easy when compared to an algorithm or a flowchart. So not every person can understand the logic behind a diagram or a logic behind a paragraph writing like algorithms. But pseudocode will be providing you the easiest way for writing a code for your necessary problem. So what are the disadvantage? It does not provide a programming logic exact visual representation of a programming logic, and it will not accept most of the standards possible for writing a pseudocode. It will not accept all the standards, and as same as the algorithm, the pseudocode can is not able to compile or execute as like a programming language. If a programming beginner, if that is a beginner for a programmer, by seeing a pseudocode, then it is very difficult to understand what is the logic behind the pseudocode. If it is an algorithm for a beginners, it is easy to understand as it is represented in a normal English flow. Beginner programmer can easily understand a problem behind using an algorithm or a flowchart when compared to a pseudocode. Um, shall I recap from algorithm or flowchart? Shall I recap again? As many of the persons have joined later in the morning session, shall I recap what is an algorithm again and how to write an algorithm and flowchart? If anyone wants me to recap again, uh, please type in the chat box. If you want to recap, please type yes. Or you can unmute and say, please recap. Yes, Ashita, you have raised a hand. Okay, I will recap. Okay. In morning session, we have discussed what is an algorithm and how to write an algorithm, and a flowchart, what is defined as a flowchart, and how to draw a flowchart. So we have discussed tools, that is draw IO tool and a Raptor tool for drawing a flowchart. So algorithm, as I said before, it is a finite sequence of a well-defined instructions. It should be written in a simple English language. So there are two approaches. So first one is top down and a bottom up approach. Top down approach means you will be writing your algorithm in a top down based manner, and bottom up approach means you will be writing in the reverse order. For complex problems only, they will be considering this bottom up approach. If you are dividing your programs into modules, that follow the top down approach. So this is an example algorithm. So you just consider if you're making a tea. This is an algorithm for making a tea. That is step one. You have to represent like step one, step two. It is very compulsory for writing an algorithm. So you have to write compulsory as step one, step two, step three, step four, and step five, and step six, and so on for writing an algorithm. So what is the need of an algorithm? So you have to consider the four parameters, that is problem solving, optimization, efficiency, and consistency in solving an algorithm. So this is the steps for developing an algorithm. First, you have to define the problem what you're going to solve, and you have to break down the problem if necessary. That is breaking down the problem into modules, and you have to design the steps what you're going to write in your algorithm and how many steps you are going to write an algorithm. So please be precise in writing an algorithm. So simple steps. If it is a very complex problem means algorithm may extend. Otherwise, you can write it in algorithm is very precise manner. You just please try to complete within 10 steps. So then and there only the programmer can easily understand and code a program by help of an algorithm. Then you have to test and train your algorithm by giving the various inputs or various concepts based on your problem. So next one, if need, you can refine your algorithm. So what are the things you are going to consider in a steps? For example, if you are going sorting in your algorithm means you have to define your goal here and break it down into modules, and you have to define the steps what you are going to follow, and you are going to test an algorithm if necessary. If there is a testing, there are controversies appear, you have to refine it by improving or applying various methods on your algorithm based on your problem. So these are the properties of an algorithm. So these PPTs will be shared with PencilBit's team. You can get it from them. Materials will be given. You can get it from them and you can refer it. These are the properties of an algorithm. And these are the key characteristics of algorithm. Keep it in your mind. Inputs may be one or two or more, but output will be single. That is, you will be having only one print statement in your algorithm. And definiteness, your steps should be very clear, and finiteness means only countable number of steps should be present, and effectiveness means you have to write it in your basic English natural language in your algorithm. So these are the qualities of algorithm based on three parameters: time, memory, and accuracy. So this is problem formulation for addition of two numbers. What will be your input and what will be your output, and what is your concept behind addition, and what is an operator you're going to use, and what is an effectiveness. So this is a simple algorithm for printing a Python. If suppose a Python program you are giving this just a print statement alone, this is an algorithm. How to represent an algorithm? It is in a natural language, flowcharts, and pseudocodes. Flowchart and pseudocode are the two categorizations. They are used to represent an algorithm. Flowchart is a diagrammatic representation, and pseudocode is a code resemblance. These are the example algorithms. So, researching algorithm, sorting algorithm, and mathematical computations. Many types of algorithms are there. These are example algorithms. So these are the building blocks of an algorithm. Every algorithm must be containing a section of input, process, and output. So before input, you have to give start the program, and after output, you have to give stop the program. So state means you will be dividing the algorithm into modules. So that will be your state. And control flow means whether you are using a sequence, selection, or iteration statements. So accordingly to that, you will be designing your own algorithms. So if it is a function, you have to divide an algorithm into the modules. That is main algorithm module, and sub algorithm module will be your function module. So these are the benefits of using the functions in your algorithm. So these are the control structures. So this is for sequence, this is for decision making or selection, and this is for looping. And this is your function. See here, I have divided the main function, and this is your add, that is function add. This is your main algorithm, and this will be your function, that is module algorithm. How you can measure the efficiency of an algorithm in two parameters, that is time and space. These two complexities are made denoted using a bigger notation. For example, if it is a processor, its time complexity is order of n squared, and if it is a comparing to space complexity, it will be order of 1. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of an algorithm. So, what is a brute force technique? I did say in the morning, brute force technique is used in a network security concept. It means a trial and error method. If you want to find something, a programmer will be giving more and more inputs to train a program and checking whether the desired output is achieved. For this is known as a brute force. For such complex methods, it is very hard to design a perfect algorithm. So, either it is a desired giving output program means you can write an algorithm easily, but for these trial and error complex problems, algorithm pointing is very difficult. Second thing is a flow chart. So it means that it is a visual representation. It means diagrams. So symbols are there for pointing the flow chart. So these are the basic symbols used in a flow chart. Other than these symbols, there will be one database symbols. If any other database or function calling is used, you can use that symbol. So this is a sample flow chart. And these are the rules for drawing a flowchart. You have to draw a flowchart in a precise manner with arrow mark like this only. Other than this, you should not place an arrow mark here or here. It is not advisable. So, in a precise manner only, you have to place the arrow marks of the symbols before and after. So, these are the rules. This is an example for some of n natural numbers using a while loop. So if it is a sequence statement, you have to represent the flowchart in this structure, that is top to bottom. If it is a decision, yes or no structure. If it is a looping, you have to return back to the program for until the condition is fails. This is a rule. So these are the examples of a flowchart: sequence structure, decision making structure, and looping structure, and function calling. The flowchart will be divided into two modules, that is main module and submodule of a function. These are the common types of flowchart is used in the businesses by the programmers or any organizations. System flowchart means it is an architectural of the any organization will be represented in a system flowchart. Process flowchart, for example, if any courier organization is packing the parcel and reaching the hub and delivering to the person, it is one process. So that process flow can be represented in the process flowchart. Data flowchart is for maintaining the data or informations within the Excel or any other databases that will be considered as a data flowchart. And business process flowchart means, as I have already said, a person is running a business based on the three categories, means those can be represented using business process flowcharts. So you have to keep in mind these three things while designing a flowchart. So there's also differences between algorithm and flowchart. You can also write a difference between an algorithm and pseudocode, algorithm and flowchart. Sorry, so flowchart and pseudocode. Like that, you can write a difference between these three also. So these are the advantages of a flowchart, and these are the disadvantages of a flowchart. And pseudocode, this is formally known as look like a programming language, but it is not an exact programming language. These are the properties. And why you use pseudocode? It is simplicity. That's why it is very simple to write a pseudocode. And these are the rules for writing a pseudocode. And this is an example made. For example, this will be a pseudocode. I will show you the Python idle for executing the Python programs. Since your 5 modules are related to problem solving in Python, I will give you one software suggestion for running your Python codes. These are the main constructs of pseudocode. These are the keywords and how to write a pseudocode. These are the syntaxes and examples of a pseudocode, advantages and disadvantages. So I will be showing you the Python idle. So I have installed the Python 3.5 version. So if you are clicking this Python idle, so it will be showing you like this. This is called as an interacting mode. If you are executing something here, you will be getting an output here itself. See here, I am assigning A equal to 2 and B equal to 3, C equal to A plus B, print C means, so you will be getting the output as 5. So it is an interactive, it is an interactive mode. Interpreted mode means you will be creating one new file, and here we will be typing the full codes, that is A equal to 2, B equal to 3, C equal to A plus B, and print C. If you want to run, you can either clicking run module, or you can just press F5. So before that it must be saved. So add, you have to save add dot py. See, here I am running. It means that it will be run in the interpreter mode. If you are doing an output, this is a screen for producing an output. If you are putting the coding here itself, it is an interpreter mode. And if you are opening a new file and you are putting the code here, this is an interactive mode. You can Python. I think yesterday's session they will be discussing about the math modules and numpy modules. So every math or numpy modules is already installed in this package. You can use it. So here I am using import math 8 equal to 3, b equal to 2, and in print I'm giving add of a comma b, means add is a predefined module present under the math module. So I'm saving it using oh sorry, add is not a math module. It will be showing you an error if it is not a math module. So it is using a sum is also not a math module. So these are the, if anything is present in the module, it will be working on as it is. So you can import NumPy module or a queue, stacking, everything is imported as a module in a Python. While comparing to C or C++, Python is very easy as it has a limited syntax. So see here, if I am typing any if condition, for example, I am putting whether the number is positive or negative or zero, I am writing here a program. So we have to get input from the user. So I'm getting the integer number. That's why I'm giving the as a enter number. Then again, I have to check whether the number is zero or not. So if in if I am checking first m is greater than zero. So these are the syntaxes. So see here. So my cursor is placed here. So it represents the automatic indentation. So same way, if you are writing a pseudocode also, you have to indent the statements within the if. So here print, if it is greater than 0, positive. Again, I have to check another if. So, if See here, it was also getting indebted. Yes. Zero. So see here, I'm entering it as 3. So the number is positive. Again, I'm checking for a negative. -2, the number is negative. So this way you have to code your program. So this while writing a pseudocode also, it is giving you the resemblance of a code only in pseudocode also. Any doubt? So you can download this to Python. I'm writing in a chat box. Python 3.5 version. You can download it from a net. You can install it for executing the Python code, or many Python interpreter compilers are available on the Google. You can directly use that one also, or Google Colab. Google Colab for running your Python codes. Google Colab is also allowing. Google Colab is purely based on Python code only. You can use that one also for a Python. Any doubts? Any doubts? Any doubts you can ask. So you can check the execution of flowcharts. I have explained sequence, control structures, and decision making on functions also. Modules split up in flowchart and Raptor tool. You can check your own execution. So if you practice only, you can able to get the logic of behind the flowcharts. If there is any conflicts in the concepts, you can ask. So I will be providing this PPT materials to websites. You can get it from them. Someone is raising a hand. If any doubt, please type it in chat box if you want to know anything from me.
Excuse me, is idle the compiler for the Python programming or
Yes, yes. Idle is a compiler for only Python program. There are many inbuilt modules in idle is it means that if you install the Python 3.5, it will be showing in the name of idle. You can open that in your so start from your window, and you can use it for executing a Python code. It is purely only for Python code only.
okay? So for the lab sessions, we can install this idle and let the students do it in that.
Yes, yes, yes. You can search it in a Google by giving us Python 3.5 downloader. You can download it. Just installed by using pop-up windows by giving next, 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 and after that it will be installed. You can open it using by giving the name as idle in your search window.
Okay.
And if you are having any lab sessions for drawing a flow charts, you can use a Raptor tool. for the students for making them to draw.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other doubts? If any doubts regarding any installations of softwares, you can ask them. So for lab sessions, Raptor is for flowchart and Python 3.5.1 is for compiling the Python programs. Please, you prefer these two. Don't prefer online compilers for running your programs in laboratory sessions. Please prescribe to softwares for installing and running your programs. Some three members are raising the hands. If any doubts, please ask in the chat box. Let me wait for some time for question and answer session. Please repeat the version. I will type it in the chat box. Python 3.5.1. This is a version of a Python idle. You can give it in a Google and you can download it. Let me show you. Okay, let me show you. So just give it in a Google like Python 3.5.1. So you will be getting these Python versions. If you are using a Windows, you can download it from, this is a authorized website of a Python. See here, downloads, all releases, it will be here. So you can download what version you needed. So see here, Python 3, now it has been Python 3.6, you can download it. If you click that, it will be automatically downloading. So see here, so I have installed Python 3.5. Now it has been Python 3.12. You some models they have been imported, I think. So you can download it and you can install it. So this will be an executable file. You can double click it and it will be going to installation wizard. You just follow the instructions in the installation wizard and install it. And you can open like giving here search idle. This. And Raptor also same. You just give it in a Google, like Raptor tool for drawing flowchart. You can download it and you can install it. For writing an algorithm and pseudocode, there are no tools. So you have to write as it is. You have to write it by own. Any other doubts? So this is a version of a Python program. So now it has been released as Python 3.12. If you are using for any research purposes, if you are doing in a Python program, just go for a Google Colab. So they will be having installed modules, and Google Colab supports AI writer coding also. For research purpose, you can go for that Google Colab. I think in previous session, ma'am has discussed a Python coding in Google Colab. Any other doubts? If any doubts, you can ask it in a chat box. Any other doubts? Kartika, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, participants. Do we have any other questions or shall we wind up the session?
Yes. Idle is providing you both a text editor. It means that if you are see, I will show you again. Idle is providing two modes. One is the interrupter and interactive mode. Interrupter means the code where it is getting executed is an interrupted mode, and interactive mode means you will be writing a code and it will be executing. So this is the window. If you are giving idle, it will be opening. So this shell will be executing your programs. So in this shell, it is very complex for if you are writing more than one functions or class object concepts in a Python. So this shell mode will not support. So in case you have to create a new file and you have to write a complex code here and you have to run it by run module only. So it supports both the modes, interactive and interrupted mode Python. So hope you understand now. So if you're handling any laboratory sessions, please go through this Python software alone. So don't prefer any online compilers or online interpreters. If you are preferring that one, students won't able to understand how the Python is compiling and how the program is executing. They won't able to understand. So go with this idle.
Sure, ma'am. Any other questions? Because we are going to wind up in 2 minutes.
Let me wait for 3 to 4 minutes. If any other clarifications, you can ask. Some of you are raising the hands. If you are having any doubt, you can ask it in the chat box. Or just unmute and you can ask.
Hello, participants. I have put the feedback link in the chat box. I request everyone to provide the feedback for us. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you everyone for this wonderful session, and I will I must thank Pencil Bits for this greatest opportunity to handle my session here. And thank you every participants. If you're having any clarifications, you can ask through Pencil Bits. I will give my details to them and you can clarify with them. And I will share my PPT with them. You can also get it from them. Thank you. Have a
Thank you so
great day.
much for a wonderful session, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I request participants, I request everyone to fill the feedback form, and we'll mail the feedback form also, and we'll share the PPT after the all 5 days FDP is over. And okay, thank you so much for joining for the today's session, and I request everyone to leave. Thank you.
Thank you.